Welcome to the Paper Valley Model Railroad Club. Located near Appleton, Wisconsin, it is one of the oldest existing model railroad clubs in the United States. The club has layouts in both O and HO scales with award-winning scenery and structures and state-of-the-art digital control systems. The Paper Valley Model Railroad Club got its start in 1936, when Carol Richmond, a member of the YMCA Junior Board of Directors, was put in charge of hobbies. Carol was fascinated with trains and decided to start a small model railroad club. Carol recalls, "We started with a small layout, located between the secretary's office and the billiard room at the old Appleton YMCA. This first layout had only 2 loops of track and was about 20 feet square with no yards or sidings. The kids were all enthused until they found out they had to cut ties and lay rail by hand. A lot of them lost interest when they found out they had to work at it. The club survived the Y for 3 years, then disbanded due to lack of interest. Carol Richmond started searching for a new group, and in 1940 advertised in local papers and hobby magazines for anyone in the area interested in trains. His effort attracted a number of interested Appleton area modelers. The club soon reformed as an armchair club, meeting at various members' homes to discuss a permanent location for the club. But this was the 1940s, and there was a war going on, so affordable space was scarce. In February of 1943, the club investigated the possibility of locating a permanent space in the basement of the Conway Hotel. In 1944, the deal was done. The lease was signed and a new layout began to take shape. The new O-scale layout was about 30 feet long, with a double-track figure 8 plan on 2 levels. The pike was cramped and they had little room for visitors. The outside stairs leading to the layout were in poor condition, and the upstairs tavern sink leaked into the basement. The members installed a waterfall to divert the water away from the tracks. The war ended in 1945, and talks of a better location began. The club was able to secure a lease of the old Chicago Northwestern Railroad depot located on South Oneida Street in the River Flats of Appleton. Although the building's structure was in poor condition and it had heating problems, the club decided to lease it and began remodeling in 1947. They rebuilt the interior of the station, eliminating the old walls between the agent office, waiting room, and the baggage room. This left one large room for a layout with an overlooking cage-type balcony for visitors and the operating crew. It provided 2,048 square feet of layout space for a new O-scale layout, based loosely on the Chicago Northwestern Railroad Ashland Division operations. The Paper Valley Model Railroad Club was incorporated with the state of Wisconsin on May 10, 1946. By 1948, construction began with ties being cut, O-scale rails being hand-laid, and switches being built. By the time the track work was done, club members used over 10,000 ties, 124,000 spikes, and laid over 5,300 feet of track. In 1950, the Oshkosh Model Railroad Club came and helped club members, and over 10,000 ties were laid in one night. On October 13, 1950, the golden spike of the main line was driven, and the railroad was humming with trains. To power the layout, the club installed a big bank of surplus batteries from the local phone company. Later, Miller Electric donated transformers and rectifiers. The transformers were too small, so the club obtained a huge transformer from the Fond du Lac phone company. Carroll recalled that the thing weighed a ton, as he and Al Ayers hauled it from Fond du Lac. But the transformer worked and provided 18 volts to the common rail. 7 control panels fed 25 miles of wire on the layout. The dispatcher would instruct Cab A to operate the westbound routes and Cab B to operate the eastbound routes. The third Friday of every month was known as operating night. Club members recall that many area folk brought their kids down to the club and put them in the cage balcony while they shopped, picking them up around 9 p.m. when the stores closed. The club began its annual tradition of open houses in 1950. This was done as a fundraiser and gave the public a chance to see the layout. This tradition continues today. By the late 1970s, the club was beginning to run into problems. The old depot was in great state of disrepair. The floor was so warped that the club had to jack up the layout several times to keep it level. In 1987, a real estate company purchased the building and gave the club until the end of the year to vacate the premise. They dismantled the 40-year-old layout and sold most of the O-scale items to former members. The club went back to being an armchair club, meeting at various members' homes. In 1988, member Francis Kozlowski donated an HO layout for the club to work on. Each module measured 2 feet by 4 feet with larger corner modules, and they began working on this new layout in Frank's basement. So once again, the club began promoting for new members through flyers at area hobby stores. In late 1990, the club was able to lease a storefront in the Valley Fair Mall. They set up the modules as a club layout and continued to work on them. Membership grew rapidly. In 1995, the Valley Fair Mall decided that the storefront could be used for more money-making tenants. So the club packed up the modules and moved to a space in the downtown Appleton Mall. Meanwhile, one of the members approached the club about leasing an old radio station on Block Road in Kaukauna. The station was using the building for a transmitter and towers, but the rest was empty and falling into a state of disrepair. Even though it was not located in Appleton, the price was right, and the club packed up once again. The club moved into the building in late 1995 and began cleaning up the mess. Walls were knocked down, mice and rats were cleaned out, and 6 months were spent on just cleaning up after the last tenant. The club began building a large HO layout, and by November 1996 it held an open house, a tradition going back to 1950. Since that time, the HO layout has expanded into 3 large rooms and is now fully operational. It features award-winning scratch-built structures, many industrial switching areas, several large yards, a large harbor area, and a branch line that feeds into a mining area. In 2001, the club began to work on a large O-scale 3-rail layout in the basement of the clubhouse. Measuring 42 feet by 30 feet, this layout features a double-track main line and many scenic features, including an airport. If not for the determination of longtime club members Carol Richmond, Louis Phillips, and Les Mansky, the club probably would have folded years ago. Instead, the Paper Valley Model Railroad Club thrives today with a large membership and state-of-the-art layouts.